So, AI is pretty much everywhere at work now, right? It's popping up in all sorts of tools we use every day. And while that's incredibly exciting, it also raises a really important question. Are we actually using this powerful new tech safely and responsibly?
You're probably already using it for things like drafting emails, crunching some numbers, or maybe even writing a bit of code. But you might have that little voice in the back of your head asking, is this okay? Are we doing this right? It's a huge question, and today we're going to dive into the answer.
Okay, so when we talk about AI risks, our minds immediately jump to, Skynet and killer robots. But the real, everyday risks are actually way more down to earth, and they can cause problems for businesses right now, not in some distant future.
And these risks are super common. First off, AI can be confidently wrong. It can give you an answer that looks and sounds perfect, but is just factually incorrect. Second, an employee, probably with the best intentions, might copy and paste sensitive company info into a public AI tool. And finally, if something does go wrong because of an AI's output, who's actually responsible? Is it the person who used it? The AI itself? The company? It gets really complicated really fast.
And here's the bottom line. We just can't expect every single employee to figure out how to navigate all this on their own. That's not fair, and honestly, it's a recipe for disaster. What we really need is a system, a clear framework that makes things safe and understandable for everyone. So, what on earth does that look like?
Well, this is where something called an AI management system, or AIMS for short, comes into play. You can think of it like a safety net, one that's specifically designed to catch these risks we just talked about and give people the confidence to really use AI.
At its heart, an AIMS is really just a company-wide rulebook. It's a formal, thought-out system for how your organization is going to use AI. It makes sure everyone is on the same page about what's safe, what's responsible, and what's expected.
And this is becoming a really big deal. There's even an official international standard for it called ISO/IEC 42001. Now, I know that name sounds super technical, maybe a little boring, but don't get hung up on the number. The idea behind it is actually incredibly simple and practical. So, how does a system like this actually build trust? How does it really work in practice? Well, it all comes down to three fundamental ideas, three powerful pillars that create a solid foundation. Those three pillars are transparency, accountability, and continuous review. And together, they create a framework that's clear, responsible, and, importantly, adaptable. Let's just quickly break down what each one of these really means. First up, we have transparency. This one is pretty straightforward. It just means the company has a clear view of how AI is being used, who's using which tools, and what are they using them for. It's basically about creating a map so there are no surprises. Second is accountability, and this is absolutely crucial. An AI can generate a report or suggest a course of action, but it can't be responsible for the outcome. And AIMS makes it crystal clear that a person always makes the final call and holds the ultimate responsibility. The buck stops with a human. And finally, there's continuous review. I mean, let's be real, AI technology is changing by the week, sometimes by the day. So an effective AIMS can't be a dusty old rulebook that sits on a shelf. It has to be a living system. It's a constant cycle of using AI, seeing what works and what doesn't, and updating the rules as you learn more. Okay, I get it. Management system, pillars. It can all sound a little corporate and abstract, right? So let's use a simple analogy that I think makes this whole concept just click into place. The absolute best way to think about an AIMS is this. It's the safe driving rules for using AI. And the parallel is almost perfect. When we drive a car, we have traffic rules that keep everyone safe. With AI, your AIMS and company policies are those rules. To drive, you need a license that proves you're trained, right? With AI, you need user training and approval. And if there's an accident, there's legal responsibility. With AI, that's human accountability. See how it lines up? And here is the most important takeaway from that analogy. We don't think of traffic laws as something that restricts our freedom to drive. In fact, they are what makes it possible for all of us to share the road safely. It's the exact same idea with an AIMS. The rules aren't there to limit you. They're there to enable everyone to move forward safely. So an AI management system really isn't about red tape or slowing down innovation. It's about building a solid foundation. It's about making sure that everyone, from your employees to your customers, can have confidence that you're using AI in a smart, thoughtful, and safe way for the long term. So that brings us to the final question, one for you to think about.
Looking at your own workplace, is it ready to write its AI rules of the road? And are you ready to help define them? Thanks for joining this explainer.